lot of my ECAC friends and particularly Harvard friends, I guess, how can you do this? 15 years, how can you leave us? And I thought about it before actually accepting the job, actually before I was even offered. But in a sense, I am going back to the big part of my hockey past. I mean, I played youth hockey at McHugh Forum every Sunday night when I was a defenseman, before I was a goalie. I played my high school hockey at the Boston Arena, now the Matthews Arena for Northeastern. The first college game I ever lost as a player was at UNH Snively Arena. All these places, I'm dating myself because these places aren't there anymore. But Dick Humilli was the captain of that UNH team, and I was the UNH coach. So a lot of my buddies, Stu Irving and Merrimack, and I played hockey for the last 10 years in a no-check league. And so coming back to this job, it isn't really like I'm running away from the ECAC or part of my past. I'm kind of going back to areas and to people I'm very comfortable with.
But I'm sure it took some time to make the decision. How tough was it?
It was tough. The decision in the end wasn't tough. What was tough was moving myself into kind of emotionally to actually think about leaving, to cutting the cord after 15 years. It's been 15 good years. And once I got past the emotional part of that and just looked at it as a job and what job do I want and what do I want to do now, and with a 7-month-old baby to take care of, my whole, I think looking at where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do changed. And by the time I got past that emotional hump and then looked at the offer that was presented, it was actually pretty easy in the end. 15
years with the ECAC. How much has changed and how much hasn't changed in the game?
What's really changed are the things beyond Division I men's hockey, which is what the Hockey East League is and what was part of what I did with the ECAC. But the growth of women's hockey, the Division III hockey, which used to just be kind of loosely organized schedules and then brought together by a tournament. Now they all play common schedules, have common rules, and it's become more professional in a small p sense. So I think those elements beyond Division I men's hockey has changed. And actually, it's one of our problems is at the Division I level, whether you're ECAC Hockey East, CCHA, WCHA, that our game hasn't enjoyed the growth that hockey in general has had. Inline hockey, women's hockey. In '98, the Olympics are going to be so different with women competing for a medal and pros on the men's side. But there's our Division I, 45 schools, the same group of guys. And we've got to start to do some things to change it. And I think television is one of the big things we're going to have to do. We're starting to see, getting into venues like the Fleet Center next year for the Nationals and Anaheim in 2 years, which will be interesting. But our game hasn't enjoyed the growth that hockey itself has had.
Yeah, on a team-by-team basis, especially Hockey East, you got a lot of new arenas. You've got the new one going up in Lowell. Everybody's sort of doing that. Yeah. Whittemore Center's fantastic. Is it a more, again, small P professional operation on the campuses? And
that's good and bad. And I miss going into rinks that had such a unique personality. BC was, and McHugh Forum was kind of warm, and the people were right on top here, and the lights are a little dim, and Snively had, when we played there, chain link fence and things like that. You go into Whittemore Center and Connie Forum, and these places are like small metropolitan arenas. And BU's going to have a new one in a few years. Merrimack's going to break ground. So the whole face of the Hockey East League is going to change. And then it opens up some other possibilities down the road as far as where you want to have tournaments and things like that, because you really do now have mid-sized buildings, not the small 2,000 to 3,000 seat arenas.
I've asked you this before. We've talked to Bob Norton a lot about it. It used to be such a great event when you had ECAC and Hockey East together with their tournaments. Can they ever get back together for a weekend of hockey?
I don't know. I mean, I think, first of all, I don't think those hopes should get up that the two leagues will get together. But I think there are a lot of things the leagues can do. We share officials. We have a common all-star game now. We did have Hockey Fest, which drew 12,000 plus the last year that we had it. And that's the biggest crowd that either one of us is able to have alone. An Eastern Championship down the road would be something interesting with the top two teams from each league, number one from one league playing number two from the other and so forth. But the Fleet Center would be the site for that. As long as Hockey East tournament is in the Fleet Center, there's some conflict that wouldn't work. But that's an idea that's been kicked around. I know Jack Parker at BU was one who's spoken for that idea.
And that would almost be an extra weekend?
Yeah, it would be the best. You'd have to adjust some of your schedules, but it would be the closest thing to recreating the feel of the old ECAC Friday, Saturday.